Who do you think about when you hear the word entrepreneur? If you Google it, there are 100 different definitions for this same term. But I recently watched a video and heard a definition that really stuck with me. And that was because he was not only describing what it means to be an entrepreneur, but he was also describing, in my opinion, what is the underlying approach that is needed for personal growth. And before I get more into this connection, I want to give you this definition. He described an entrepreneur as a person that sees problems within every situation. He then challenges the status quo, so he challenges the problems and thinks that there is a better way of doing something. He finds a solution and sells this solution to the people around him, to the market, and therefore mostly generates money because people buy your solution, your value, and they give you value, and money is nothing than stored value. So that's the general process of businesses and entrepreneurship. Now, what is needed in order to identify problems? So as said, identifying problems in every situation is the first point. Well, awareness is needed. You need to be aware of your surroundings. A great entrepreneur exactly knows what people want right now. What are people deprived of? Because if you know what people don't have or what people need, then you can find a solution to this and generate value. And that's really a very beautiful and very creative process. Now, the exciting point is that you cannot only apply this process of generating value to the external world and in business, but you can also apply it to yourself. And in order to do that, you don't need to raise any capital, you don't need to start a business, you really only need yourself. And you need to apply these different steps of creating value, because this principle of creating value is exchangeable. You can apply it to anything. Now let's take an example. Let's say I am overweight and therefore I have low energy levels. I don't sleep well. I cannot run for a longer period of time. I'm just struggling because I have too many pounds. And I realize that. So I say, I cannot go on like this. I need to lose some weight. So the first step has been done. I have identified a problem for me, within me. Then the second point comes. I challenge the status quo. So I say, I think I can lose weight. I think I'm able to do that. I've done it in the past, or I've seen somebody that did it, so I'm able to do it as well. And then the third step comes, trying to come up with a solution. So I make an action plan. I go for a run each and every day. I eat healthier. Fourth step would be that the solution works and that you sell the solution. But this is not even needed in this setting, because selling something to the external only applies if you are operating within a market space. If you are solving problems with yourself, you don't need to sell it to you because you're the only person making use of it. So that's pretty convenient. So that's really the end of the line. If you solve the problem, the value comes automatically, because if I lost my weight, I will feel better, I will sleep better again, I will have higher energy levels, I can run better. So many different things. This is just a small example to get into the mindset of how to apply this, a simple example. And yeah, and step by step you can work on anything, not just losing weight. You can work on your language skills, you can work on your self-awareness, you can work on so many things. And this really makes me exciting because it is free. You just need to know how this principle works. Solve problems and get value. And you don't even have to sell the solution. You just need to find a solution. And that's really cool, I think. This has been a lot of theoretical talk now. You may ask, Jonathan, how can I use this in my day-to-day life? And I would recommend you to start with the first point. Increasing your awareness, identifying the problems. That's really your baseline, that's where you're starting. And what I do personally in order to accomplish that is just to journal each and every day before I go to bed. So 10 minutes before I go to bed, I just write down. The first point is very general that I write down, just how was my day. And just in 1-2 lines, I will write what I did and what maybe stood out. And then I immediately go on to writing what went well today. And this is directly correlated whether I got closer to my goals and to my aspirations. So if I accomplished the tasks that I set out to do. Then the next point is what didn't go so well, so what bothered me. And for me, that's always the most important point, because as I said before, that's the greatest potential for growth, because here you can identify your problems. And I always ask why afterwards. If you keep asking why, you will really uncover the truth. This is always to go a little bit deeper, so I will ask why a couple of times. And then the last point, which is equally important, is what can I do differently, what can I do better tomorrow and also during the upcoming times. And this is really where I come up with my solution, with a game plan. We will see if the solution works or not during the next days. I will also document this in my journal. And the last thing that I want to say is that it's always important to start with yourself. Never give away the responsibility of changing something to someone else, because that makes you helpless. If you want to improve something, it always starts with you, with nobody else. And yeah, that's really all I write down. Now, I still wanted to share a quote with you that is very fitting in this context. And it's from the book The Daily Stoic. The quote comes from a philosopher, an ancient Greek philosopher, and he's talking about that we should only focus on the things that we can control and not the things we cannot control. And in the end, we only can control what happens within us and not what happens around us. And I would recommend you to pause and think about this quote for a second. Now, what is the punchline of this video? It's that we can generate an indefined amount of value for ourselves. There's really no upper limit. The only two factors that determine how far we can take this are our self-awareness and our willingness to find solutions and to implement them in our daily life. Now, with that said, I just want to encourage you, and I'm also telling this to me, to be your own personal entrepreneur. And yeah, that's everything that I wanted to say. If you enjoyed this video and maybe if it also helped you in some way or another, then give it a like. I would really enjoy that. And also write me a comment if you still have a question about something. I'm happy to answer everything. And yes, also subscribe if you haven't. I will see you in my next video. Bye.